So welcome to our gentle class for today. So if you have a chair, something like this, like a hard chair with a back, then it may be helpful for you today. So if you're watching on the replay, you can always just hit pause and go get a chair. And if you may or may not need it, but if you've got it handy and you can have it there, then that would be great. So today our theme is around self-love and self-acceptance. And this can be a little bit of a tricky or slippery kind of subject. And one thing that sort of come to my realization is that when we spend a whole lot of time trying to improve ourselves, trying to get better, which is a noble intent, right? But the more we kind of really work on that self-improvement piece, we can also kind of nudge ourselves over into kind of aggression against ourselves. That idea of I'm not good enough and I always have to keep working on myself in order to be acceptable or to be loved or whatever. The truth is you are lovable right now with all of your foibles because we're all human and we all make mistakes, we all screw up sometimes. And the key to moving forward is not to be perfect, but it's to accept ourselves as we are right now. And it's actually from a place of acceptance that we are able to grow much more easily and actually improve, ironically enough, when we accept as we are. So for instance, weight loss is a big issue for a lot of people, right? So if people are a little bit heavier and they want to lose weight and they don't like their bodies the way they are, that self-hatred or that self challenge actually makes it harder for us to meet our goals and to have good willpower, right? When we accept ourselves and we love ourselves as we are, then we want to nurture and provide support for ourselves. We want to be healthier. And so we have much more will usually to create the changes that we want. And if we're doing it out of the sense of hating ourselves or feeling shame for ourselves. So today I invite you to, at every moment, check in with yourself and welcome and accept whatever is there. So if you're frustrated, be frustrated. Welcome the frustration. Don't try to push it away or change it in any way. Just say, oh, I feel frustrated right now, or this is challenging right now, or whatever it is, or maybe it's joy. Okay, I feel joyful right now. And if possible, you may even step back a little bit and tune into your body sensations when you're feeling something like that, when you're feeling frustration, you're feeling joy, you're feeling challenged. To really tune into your body, and that helps to bring you back to the present moment. So we were focusing on that last week, coming back to the breath, coming back to the body. And so I invite you into that same process today, but with an added layer of self-love and self-acceptance. All right, so we will start seated. So if you want to sit in that chair that you've got, you can sit in the chair. If you want to sit on the floor or on a cushion, feel free, just be comfortable. So if you're sitting on the ground, I'm sitting on the chair because it's handy. If you're sitting on the ground, you can sit cross-legged or you can have your legs stretched out in front of you, whatever's comfortable for you. Basically do a little bit of a check-in in a seated position and then a bit of movement before we go from there. So find your comfortable seat with a nice long spine, but not rigid. If you like, you can close your eyes. Bring your awareness down to your sit bones, the two bones that make contact with the surface that you're sitting on, the bottom of your pelvis. And see if you can find a nice balance point on your sit bones so you're not tipping forward or rounding back. And it feels like there's this balance point where there's less effort to sit. See if you can find that point. With your next exhale, feel your shoulders drop down away from your ears. Feel the crown of your head lift up toward the ceiling. And take a moment to notice your body as it is. So just kind of let your attention wander through your body and notice what's present. So you may notice things like the pressure of your feet on the ground or your hands on your legs. If there are areas of your body that are uncomfortable or painful, you might also be aware of those. But just as we talked about last week, try not to dwell there. So don't let all of your attention kind of laser focus on those areas that aren't comfortable. Because what happens is we tend to expand what we focus on. So I invite you to notice an area that might feel uncomfortable or painful if you have such an area. And then shift your attention to somewhere that feels neutral or good in your body, that doesn't feel held or stuck or tight or tense, if there is such a spot. And if not, maybe a place that feels less tight or less tense. And then go back. So you're pendulating between what doesn't feel so great in your body, if there is such a place, and what does feel neutral or good, or at least less restricted. Let your attention just wander through your body, noticing both what may feel uncomfortable and what feels comfortable. And then adding that layer of acceptance, of welcoming whatever is, not trying to push it away. And if you feel frustrated with areas of your body, just feel the frustration. There's no need to push that away either. And then let's tune into the breath. So notice the breath as it is. There's no need to change or alter the breath in any way. The breath is a lovely focus for the mind because it's always present. It's always in the moment. However, if focusing on the breath is uncomfortable for you for some reason or creates tension for you, then you can always come back to noticing the body or even the sounds around you. They're present in this moment, so they can also be an anchor for your attention. Let's add a bit of movement now, like that movement of the cat-cow. So finding a little lift in the heart with an arch in the back. You want to lift the chin slightly, but not throw the head back. And then as you exhale, round your back, tuck your chin in, let your head come down. If you like, you can inhale as you lift the chest, exhale as you round the back. Go at your own pace. So my breath rhythm may be quite different from yours, and there's absolutely no right or wrong. The only thing I'll say is if your breath is quite short, so if it only takes a second or two to inhale and exhale, you might be moving faster than is comfortable for you. So then just take extra breaths or just breathe normally and do the movement at a pace that feels right. And eventually coming back to sit with a neutral spine. We'll take the arms out to the sides, turn the palms up toward the ceiling. And here this gesture is like we're gathering our whole selves, not leaving anything out, not denying any part of ourselves, but gathering the entirety, the wholeness of ourselves, as if we could gather up the good, the bad, the ugly, the joyful, all of it, and bring it into the heart. Pause there, welcoming all that you are. Even the parts that you may not want to welcome, welcome that not wanting to welcome. Good. And then let's do that again. Hands to the sides, and imagine you're creating this lovely bundle, bringing your whole self into the practice, into your heart. And once more, symbolically welcoming in everything that we are, everything we think, everything we feel, everything that's happened to us, welcoming it all, understanding that it's part of our journey and part of what makes us who we are. And then taking the palms, pressing them flat together till you feel your shoulders and chest engage, the forearms maybe stretch a little. You can then separate the heels of your hands a bit, pressing the fingers together, stretching the hands a bit more. Release the pressure, bring the backs of the hands together, fingers down, press the elbows down a little bit to feel a stretch across the top of your hand and wrist. Right, and then circle the wrists. One direction and then the other way. Right, and then we'll take the arms to the sides, fingertips up, shoulders relaxed, and then make your hands into fists, turn the fist down toward the ground. And then fingers up and down. A couple more times. Great. And then circle your fists around a few times. Your arms get tired, bend your elbows, move your arms down a little bit. And then again, give your arms a shake. Right. And then pause for a moment. You can close your eyes again. Notice your arms, shoulders, and hands who have just brought some energy. And notice what's present now. What are you aware of? Right, so if you're sitting on the floor or on a chair, however you are, we're going to come to stand. So if you're sitting on the floor, it might take a little longer, but you're going to make your way upright. And take your chair towards the one end of your mat and just have it handy there if you're using a chair. So we'll come to that in a bit. So coming to mountain posture, your feet are underneath your hips. And rock your weight back, lift your toes up. You can leave the balls of your feet down and then rock forward, bring your toes down, maybe lift the heels slightly. Just rock back and forth a little bit, finding your land legs. Great. And then coming back to even weight on your feet, we'll rock from one side to the other, shifting weight to one foot and then shifting weight to the other foot. Okay, find a centered place again and take your feet just a little bit wider. Bring your hands onto your hips, soften your knees, and do a few circles around with your hips. You circle one way, circle the other way. And as always, try to do this with mindfulness. You're really tuned in to what you notice. My dog's on the stairs. I don't know if you can hear that, but that's what that noise is if you're hearing something. And then from here, press down into your hips so you feel really grounded through your feet and the spine is nice and long. Soften your knees again. We're going to lift the upper body up and take it over to one side. Come back to the center, over to the other side, center, to the side. And if you want a little bit more as you do this, as you go to one side, you can reach up the opposite arm and switch each side. And then eventually making your way back to the center, we'll release the hands and bring the feet in. Taking a breath in, lifting up. As you exhale, sweep the arms down. You can either stop with the hands on the thighs or reach down toward the ground, letting the head release. And then coming all the way back up, lifting and coming forward. So do a few more at your own pace. And if you like, you can stay in the forward bend next time. So when you come forward, if you like, you can brace your elbows against your thighs or reach toward the ground, whatever position is comfortable for you. And then we'll come all the way up. We're reaching the arms overhead and releasing the arms down to your sides. So again, with the feet under the hips, we'll start to shift the weight side to side this time, bringing the heel off the ground or even the whole foot off the ground. So it's like you're walking on the spot. And if you want a little bit more effort here, raise the knees up in front of you a little more. And then once you find that rhythm, as one knee goes up, the opposite arm comes forward, other arm goes back. So see if you can coordinate that. Now you don't have to lift the foot right off the ground. You could just come to your toes each side to find the expression of this pose that works for you. Right, and then come back onto both feet. You can just give a little shake with your arms and legs. And then the next one, you might find it helpful to use your chair for a bit of support. And that's also going to help you to remember to keep your upper body upright. So we'll be taking one leg at a time back. So you're going to slide the foot back and try to keep that leg as straight as possible, not bending as you lift, but you're sliding the foot back and lifting. Bring it back and then sliding the other foot back and lifting. Bring it back. So strengthening the muscles of the lower back and the hips. If you lean forward, it kind of defeats the purpose a little bit. So as the leg lifts, think about lifting the heart. So it's a bit of a back bend. Now, of course, you can do this without a chair. It's just more tempting to lean forward. So really think about keeping that upright. And then you can do this one holding a chair or not. I would recommend, if possible, to not hold the chair and just work in a way that you can do the pose without losing your balance. Or even if you do lose your balance, just coming back into it. So there's a few options here. So you can shift one foot and come up onto the toes of the other foot. So this is going to be your easiest option. The hands could come to the hips out of the way. And you're going to rotate right here. So toes stay in the same spot. The knee goes out, heel comes in, and the knee comes in, heel goes out. So a little rotation for the hip. Now, if you want to work more in a more challenging way, you can lift the leg and rotate heel in, knee out, knee in. Find your balance. Great, and then place that foot down. Give both legs a little shake. And then shift to the other foot. So again, you can come onto your toes and go in and out with the toes swiveling on the ground or lifting the toes and working again with balance as well. Really tune in. Honor your body. If it feels too much, make the movement smaller or bring the foot down. Great, and then we'll place that heel down, release the hands. Take the feet a little bit wider again, and we'll roll the shoulders. One shoulder rolling back and the other. Let your knees bend, let your hips swing, the head can move as long as it doesn't make you dizzy or give you vertigo. Honoring your own limitations. You can go the other direction as well. Right, and then let's come back to the center. So now if you have a chair handy, you can bring the chair towards the end of your mat with the seat of the chair facing you. We're going to do something like a sun salutation. So if you know that it's just as easy for you to do the sun salutation, bringing your hands right to the ground and stepping back, then by all means, feel free to do that. So you're going to be just a little bit back from your chair so you're not squished up to it. We'll inhale and lift the arms up. Exhale, bend your knees and bring your hands onto either side of your chair, whatever's comfortable for your wrists. And then you're going to take one leg and step back, bring your foot down so the ball of your foot is on the ground, and then work to bring the heel towards the ground behind you. So you'll feel maybe some stretch in your calf. If it's a lot of stretch, you can lift and lower. If you don't feel any stretch here, you're probably a little too close. So the further you step back, the bigger the stretch will be in the back of the calf. So you can play around with that positioning, whether you're lifting and lowering, or you can just stay and press the heel down and hopefully enjoy the stretch there. So the next pose, if your hands are on the ground, you'll step right back to what's called downward dog, if you're familiar with downward dog. Otherwise, we'll do a version here with the hands on the chair. So you're going to line your feet up, and you may have to shuffle them around a bit so that when you stretch your arms overhead and bend your knees a little, heels line up more or less under the hips. And then you can let the head come down between the arms. The hands can just rest on your chair. Okay, on the ground, downward dog would look something more like this, with the hands and feet on the ground and the knees a little bent. You're finding the version that works for you. And then we're going to step forward with the foot that was back. So stepping it towards the chair, and then you're going to find again that position for the back foot that's just right. Gives you some stretch in the back, calf and ankle, but not too much. And then you can lift and lower if you like. Or just stay there pressing the heel down. From here we'll step forward, feet side by side, bend your knees. Inhale and lift all the way up. And then exhale to release. Great, so we will do that again. This time, maybe stepping back with the other foot first, just for some variation, if you remember. So coming up with a breath in, soften your knees, come forward. Whichever foot you stepped back with last time, you're going to step back with the opposite. So it'll actually be the same leg that was back a moment ago. Okay. So you can press the heel down, maybe lift and lower a few times. And then find a position so it may be moving the foot a little closer or a little further away. You might turn the foot a bit to the side so that the foot can be comfortably on the ground. And then we'll work with the front leg, so moving it straighter and more bent. So hands could be on the chair as mine are. They could be on blocks on either side of your front foot, or you could have your hands on the ground. You know, it all depends on what is available to you. Right, and then from there, you're going to find your way to downward dog. So that's either, if your hands are on the ground, you'll step your feet back. If your hands are on the chair, you'll find that position where the heels line up more or less under the hips. You can let your head come down between your arms. And think about length, reaching back with your hips. Long spine. So we're not rounding and crunching them back up, but really lengthening. Right, and then we're going to step forward with the foot that was back. And again, you can play around with the position of the back leg to lift and lower the heel a few times. And then bringing the foot forward or turning it out to the side so you can comfortably have that whole foot on the ground, the back foot. And then you can bend and straighten the front leg. And by straighten, I don't mean it has to come all the way straight, which can be quite a bit of stretch for the hamstrings, especially if your spine is long and you're a little lifted. All right, so from here, we'll step forward, Soften your knees a little. Inhale and lift all the way up. And then exhale to release. Pause for a moment in mountain pose. Just take stock and notice what's present for you right now. And then let's lift both shoulders, roll them back and down. Get your knees into this. So as you come forward, bending the knees and then lifting and opening back through the shoulders. Great. And then coming back into this position with the hips over the heels, shoulders over the hips, head over the shoulders in mountain pose. And again, take a moment to notice what's present. So the next one, the next series that we'll do works a little bit more with balance. So again, you can shift your weight to one side, come up onto the toes of the other foot, shift, and again, tune in, check into how balance is feeling for you today. So we're going to add on to this. You come back to a place now with both heels down. We'll lift the arms up, breathing in. As you exhale, draw one knee toward your hands, hands toward the knees. You could keep your toes on the ground. You could lift a little, or you could lift right in if that's available to you. So we'll alternate here. So you'll bring the foot down and reach up with the arms, and then other side. Now, if you need to hold on to your chair, you can do a few times one side and then switch sides and do a few times the other side. If you're not using a chair, feel free to alternate sides and modify in any way that works for you. So keeping the toes down is a totally viable option, as well as lifting the knee right in. Can you come to whatever movement works for you with utter acceptance? You're not wishing it were different, but being with what is. Great, let's have both feet down now and release the arms down to your sides. So as I said, we'll move into another sequence here. You may want to, again, have your chair this time with the tallest side facing you. It's also possible to do this whole series without the chair. It's just a little bit more challenging. So you'll be a little bit back from your chair. We'll take a breath in and lift the arms up. We're going to lift the right knee up in toward the body. So any amount, toes on the ground or lifting right up. And then stepping back, turning the foot to the side, coming into warrior one. Right, from warrior one, bringing the hands to the top of your chair, or you can bring your hands to the knee or the ground. So we're coming into a forward bend. And then from here, you have the option to stand onto your front foot and lift the back leg. As you lift the back leg, lift the chest a little. And for those who aren't using a chair, you would come from the ground or from wherever you are, arms to the sides as you lift. From here, you'll step back, bringing the foot down, lifting the arms up, coming into warrior one again. And then stepping onto your front foot, bring the knee through. So again, it could be toes on the ground or lifting right up. And then foot down, arms lifting up. And then releasing down to your sides. So now you have an idea of where we're going with this. We'll do the other side. And if you want to try this time without the chair, or maybe you discovered that you actually do need the chair after all, you can get yourself set up and we'll do the other side. So again, lifting the arms, breathing in. Other knee comes in, so left knee this time. And then stepping back, warrior one. The back foot is turned out so that the whole foot is on the ground. And then you'll come forward either to your chair, could be hands to the knee or hands to blocks or the ground, whatever is working for you today. And then you have that option again to step onto your front foot, lift the back leg as you lift the chest. You can bravely reach the arms out from the chair if you like, or continue to hold on. Breathing here. If you need to bring the leg down anytime, please do. Listen to your body. And then stepping the back foot back, turning it out to the side, reaching up into warrior one. And then we'll step forward, bringing the knee through and lifting it. And then foot comes down, arms reach up, and releasing back down to your sides. Great. Let's take the feet apart again and bring the hands to the hips. Do a few circles for the hips. Sometimes those standing poses, they're a lot of effort, especially for the leg that's supporting you. Just want to make sure we're not bringing any tension into the practice. So releasing the hips, circling. Lovely. And then coming back to the center, you can release the hands down. And we'll go into that series one more time, maybe make a few little minor adjustments to it. So facing your chair, if you're using the chair. Taking a breath in, raising the arms up overhead. Exhale, right knee comes in. Any amount. Step back, warrior one. Let's turn to warrior two now. So you're going to turn your body to the right. Try to keep your left knee right over your left ankle. You can work with your right leg to find the angle that suits you. And then either reaching for your chair or for your thigh, coming into a little bit of a side bend. Take a couple of breaths here. Find the position that works for you, maybe a little more upright or a little more to the side. Coming back up. So we're going to lift the back heel and swing the arm over. You can bring your hands down or to the chair, to the ground, or to your blocks. From here, we'll step onto the front foot, lift the chest as you lift the back leg. Stepping back, warrior one, lifting up. And then stepping onto your front foot, bringing the knee in any amount. As the foot comes down, the arms reach up. And exhale to release. So one more here, doing the other side. Taking a breath in, coming up. Exhaling, knee comes up any amount. And then stepping back, warrior one. Find your grounding here, and then we're going to turn to warrior two. So you'll be turning to the left. Your front knee stays where it is. You can open the back foot a little bit to be as comfortable as possible. Arms to the side. Just check this knee is pointing straight over your foot, not twisting in. And then reaching either for your chair or for your leg. Coming into a gentle side bend for a few breaths. Lifting back up to warrior two, you'll lift the back heel, pivot on that foot as you bring the arm around, hands coming to the chair, the blocks, the ground, wherever you've been working. Stepping onto your front foot, lifting the back leg. It could be toes down, could be lifting, lift the chest. Breathe. And then again, step back, reach up. Find your grounding here in warrior one. And then when you're ready, step onto your front foot. Take your time to bring the knee up any amount. And then release the foot down, arms up. Exhale and release. So let's take a moment again. Those sequences can be challenging in a number of ways. Right? Just the poses themselves can be challenging, but also following the sequence can be a little muddling. So just pause now for a moment, check in. So whatever may have come up for you, if that was challenging, welcome it in. Okay? If you're feeling kind of smug about how well that went, just welcome that in as well. So whatever is present, and then you're bringing a smile to your face. So if we can treat ourselves with openness, with kindness, and a little bit of humor, usually makes things a lot easier, right? Life can throw all kinds of curveballs at us, and if we can learn to laugh at those curveballs, it tends to be a lot easier to manage. So bringing a smile to your face, and feeling as though that smile moves through your whole body. And if you're not feeling smiley today, be with what is, right? So if you're like, darn it, Carol, I don't feel like smiling, then don't. Be with what is. And if you're scowling, scowl. If you're crying, cry. So just be with yourself as you are. We'll take the hands out, lift up. Again, like we're gathering all of those pieces of who we are, integrating them into ourselves as we bring the hands to the heart. Pause there for a moment. And again, like we could gather all of the pieces, all of the parts that we try to deny, and invite them in. And once more. And releasing the hands to the sides, bend and straighten the knees a couple of times. You can start to swing the arms. So as the arms go through the legs, bending, so kind of doing a little bounce as you take the arms forward and back. And then we're going to add to this. So as your arms come forward, lift the palms. As the arms go back, palms are up behind you. Okay. And then you can stay with this, or if you still want more, you're going to lift right up and then bend right forward and lift right up and bend right forward, arms swing back. If you want to coordinate breath with all this, inhale up, exhale as you go forward. Great, and this time as you come upright, release the arms slowly down to your sides. So we're going to make our way down to the ground and come to a seated position. We don't want to be on the chair now though. That's not going to be helpful. So come to sit. And you can bring your feet out in front of you. Let the feet be a little bit wider than your hips, maybe shoulder width or even wider apart. And rest your hands behind you so you're supporting yourself. And then a little movement side to side. Just bring some movement into the hip joint. You can keep these movements really small, or if you like, you can bring the legs right down. You may need to release the back arm to allow that to happen without wrenching your shoulder. It's not like it's better to keep the arm down or better to lift the arm. What's better is that you're checking in with your own body and seeing what's right for you. So you can stay going side to side a few more times, or if you like, you can come into a twist. So as the knees go down to one side, you're going to release that back arm. Come around, bringing that hand to the ground or to your leg, and use both hands against the ground to lift your spine tall. And then maybe look back over your back shoulder. So you're continuing that twist with your gaze. Right, and then you'll release. If you're holding, come around to the other side and come into the twist on this side. And slowly releasing back to the center. Stretch your legs out in front, give them a little shake. And then for the next one, see how this works for you. You'll bring one leg just slightly bent, lean way back, and bring the other ankle over that thigh. Now, if that position doesn't work for you, we'll be coming a little more deeply into the pose. You can just keep that foot on the floor and work to open the knee to the side and bring it back to the center. Otherwise, ankle over the opposite knee. You're going to bring the foot on the floor so that it's flat. And then see about lifting up your spine a little bit. So use your hands to support you and find some length in your spine. Now, the more you stretch the leg out and lean back, the less stretch you're going to feel. The more you bring the leg in and sit up, the more stretch you'll feel. So you want to find the right position for you. It might be quite different from anyone else, but finding that position for you. We'll take a few more breaths here. And then when you're ready, you can release. Maybe stretch both legs out, give them a bit of a shake before we go to the other side. And know that both sides may feel quite different from one another, so modify as you need to as you work with the other side. So again, you're going to bend the knee a little bit, lean way back in order to get the ankle there in the first place. And then maybe move the foot in or walk the hands in to sit up a little taller. So again, the alternative is if this is not working for your hip or your knee, could be a bit vulnerable here. You're just going to keep the foot on the ground, move the leg in and up. So finding what works best for you, what option is the right one for you today, and then we'll take a couple more breaths here. And then you'll stretch that leg out, uncross, and give both legs a little shake. So from here, you want to sit up a little more. We're going to bend the knees a little bit to the sides and bring the soles of the feet together. So it's quite an open position for what's called turtle pose or Kurmasana. So here you can even just hold on to the legs just below the knees if that's a comfortable position for you, and that might be as far as you go. Or you could bring your hands to the floor inside your legs and start to round your back over your legs. Some of you may find that it's available to you and it's comfortable to slide your hands underneath your ankles and come onto your elbows with the palms over the tops of the feet. That can be quite a challenging and intense position for some. So find the one that works best for you. If it's just folding the legs and coming a little forward, or folding the ankles or the floor, or getting right in under your feet. And then you let your head come down. You feel like you're a turtle moving into its shell. So you're withdrawn from the world, and we all need to do that. Maybe not 9 months of it, but from time to time we all need our space, we need our internal focus. And take a few more breaths here. Of course, if you've had enough, come out anytime. And then as you're ready, slowly emerge from your shell. Bring your knees together. We're going to make our way down onto our backs on the mat. So just take your time to slowly release down. And then once you're on the ground, you want to have knees bent, feet lined up more or less under your knees, so heels under your knees if possible. If not, then a little further away is totally fine. Let your arms come to the sides. And then as you exhale, press down into your feet. Feel your tailbones start to lift up away from the ground, and then keep pressing into your feet as you slowly lift and peel the spine up off the ground. Take as many breaths as you like to lift up into bridge, and then as many breaths as you like to slowly lower back down again. So do a few more like this, going at your own pace. Curling up the tailbone, lifting slowly off the ground, and then rolling slowly back down. It doesn't matter how high you lift. Maybe you don't even lift at all. Maybe you just press into the feet and feel that little curl as if you were going to lift and then release. So wherever you're at today, honor your body, honor your needs, and finding deep, radical self-acceptance for whatever is. If acceptance is difficult, see if you can welcome that difficulty in as well. It's hard to accept that I'm not able to do this, but I'm going to accept that it's hard to accept that. And we just keep on digging deeper for self-acceptance. Every roadblock, we just accept it and keep going deeper. And eventually coming back, spine to the ground, take a few breaths there, letting go of the effort. We'll bring the knees together, the ankles together. Squeeze in for a moment, squeezing the knees together. And then we're going to let one knee release to the ground. Letting the body twist in that direction. The other knee points straight up at the ceiling. And then we'll come back to the center of both knees. Squeeze in for a moment. And then let the other knee release toward the ground. Come back to the center, squeeze. And one more to either side. Squeezing every time the knees come together. And then you can stay with this movement going one leg at a time if you like, or you can start to take the knees apart, both knees moving away from each other toward the ground, both knees coming back in towards each other and squeezing in. Either one leg at a time or both legs together, going opposite directions. Okay, and next time your knees come together, separate the feet a little bit, separate the knees a little bit, and then take both knees to one side. You can turn the head the other way if you like. Both knees to center, and then the other side. Go at your own pace. Again, if it feels better to do one leg at a time and do sort of a half twist, you could stay with that movement. Okay, and then eventually making your way back to the center. And then bring both knees up to the chest. You can place your hands one on each knee. Draw the knees towards you and then straighten your arms to move the knees away. So breath here, if you're coordinating breath, exhale as you press the breath out, squeezing in. And then inhale as you make some space for the knees to, or for the breath to come in as the knees move away. More like that. And then vary the movement. So if you want to circle the knees, or if you want to rock side to side, or circle the knees away from each other, just take a moment. Maybe stretch up toward the ceiling at some point. Circle the wrists and ankles if you've come into this position, whatever feels good for you. So take maybe another minute or two with whatever would feel good to you. And then when you feel complete with your movement, and don't rush, just really listen and see what your body would like to do before Shavasana. And then taking your time, do that. And eventually, you'll make your way to stillness in the next couple of minutes. So you'll probably want to remain on your back for Shavasana, but if you prefer to sit, you're welcome to sit. So getting ready for Shavasana. If you need a blanket or if you want to support your head with a pillow or your knees with a bolster, just take your time to get what you need so that you can be really comfortable. And if you prefer to sit, that's always an option. Taking your time to settle, make sure you're comfortable, make those little adjustments as necessary. And then once you find stillness and you're comfortable, coming back to your breath. Allowing the breath to move through you with as little effort on your part as possible. But the breath requires no effort from us most of the time. And simply observing the breath helps to bring our focus into the present moment. As you exhale, consciously relax the muscles of your body. Each exhalation, find a little bit more letting go. Softening the muscles around the bones, feel the bones sink back in that cradle of flesh, relax, soften. If you find your mind wandering during this Shavasana practice, you can always use the breath as a focus to come back to. Another focus that helps stay in the present moment is noticing sensations in the body or simply tuning into the sounds around you as long as they don't distract and pull your attention away. Let the weight of your head sink down. And the muscles of your face soften and relax, your jaw and neck release. Let your shoulders, arms, and hands release a little more. Let your rib cage be heavy, shoulder blades softening into the earth. Relaxing the belly and the lower back. And softening all around the pelvis, the lower abdomen, the buttocks, the hips, the pelvic floor. And if there are areas of your body that resist relaxing and releasing, accept whatever is present for you right now. Accept the tension. Welcome it. As you exhale, soften where you can. Soften your thighs, your knees. Relax your calves and ankles. Even bringing a little more ease into your feet if possible. And let each exhalation continue to soften wherever you're able to soften. And let your inhale be where you welcome in all that is, the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, the joyful. All of who you are welcomed. Exhale, softening and letting go. As you continue to find as much ease in your body as possible, accepting wherever you're at right now, share with you a chant from the Vedas that acts as a blessing for a long and healthy life, and for that openness of being that allows us to love ourselves despite being human, making mistakes, messing up. We dust ourselves off, get back up, get back in the game. Karoti rupani juhoti rupaya evai nagun samardayati asya upotaya karnama japedite rante Saraswati Priye Preyasimahi Vishnu Tietanite Agnaye Namani Sukritama Deveshu Brutaditi Devebhya Evai Namah Vedayat Yanlenam Deva Udhyante Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So if you feel ready to begin to come out of Shavasana, you can start to deepen your breath a little bit, bring a little more awareness to your surroundings, maybe start some movement with your extremities. And if you prefer to stay a little longer in Shavasana, you can ignore me or turn off the recording if you're watching later. And gradually add movement if you're moving. Stretch and move in any way that would feel good to you right now. Honoring your body, honoring your needs. And when you're ready to come back upright, you can roll first to your side, make it a little easier, a little gentler, and then finding your way upright as you're ready. Back to a seated position and bringing your palms together at your heart. And as you go out into your day, out into the world, I encourage you, invite you to take this theme with you of accepting everything that you encounter in yourself. It doesn't mean you have to like it. It doesn't even mean that you want to keep it forever. Whatever arises, can you meet it with acceptance? And when we meet ourselves with acceptance, we're much more able and willing to grow from that place. Like when we meet ourselves with denial, with walls, then it's very difficult to grow and to feel empowered from that place. So accepting all that is, all that you are, as much as possible with deep love, in as many moments as you're able. Namaste. I wish you a beautiful week, a lovely day, and lots of self-love.